Welcome to the very first episode of the Entrepreneur Hot Seat. My name is Corey Maurice Gilmore here in Huntsville, Alabama, and we have our very first guest, my brother, Kel Mitchell.
What's going on?
Thank you so much
My pleasure,
for
man.
Just sitting down with us. Let me tell you a funny story. So,
Yeah.
This is the first episode, and I was talking to the producer of the show,
Okay.
Javen, and we were just thinking about, guests for the show.
Sure.
And I said, we got to get Kel on the show. And Javen, our producer, said, we probably should shoot a couple of episodes to pitch it to Kel because he's like big time.
Whatever.
And I was like, all right, you're right. But then I thought about it. I was like, man, the very first episode, I just got to go big. And I was like, I'm just going to give you a call, man.
I love it, man. I love
and
it.
I appreciate you. You did not hesitate.
100%. 100%.
So again, I appreciate you just being on the very first episode
Absolutely.
of the Entrepreneur Hot Seat, man. So we're going to get right into it.
Yeah.
So this show right here is for you as an entrepreneur. If you just have that entrepreneur spirit and you just want to just know how to just get to that next step or what you should do, or just some advice, lock in right now. So Kel, you are one of the biggest real estate moguls. I won't even say you're a broker, but you are a real estate mogul here in Huntsville, Alabama, man.
Yeah.
So just tell me about, your journey. How'd you how'd
Sure.
you get there?
Yeah. First of all, anytime Javen or you call, I'm coming. I'm running.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Let me just say this too. I've enjoyed watching your career blossom over the last several years, and you're a true, bright spot in our industry. So keep shining. You're inspiring, and people are definitely watching for sure.
Man. Yes, sir.
For me, the journey has been amazing.
Yeah.
Not fun at times,
Yeah.
but amazing.
Yeah.
I started my career in real estate sales my junior year in college. And shortly after graduation, I moved back to Huntsville and had an opportunity to, get a job.
Okay. Yeah.
or follow my dreams.
Right.
And so I feel like a lot of people have that crossroads that they come to early on in their career, right? Get a job, pay the bills, or follow my dreams.
Sure.
And so I was crazy enough to follow my dreams in the beginning, and it just kind of all fell into place, and that's the short story, right?
Sure.
The long version is, I came back after college, didn't have a dime to my name, ended up living with my brokers for the next 12 months while I built my business.
Right.
Super grateful for Jim and Caroline Davis. They've, influenced my life, tremendously on the real estate side.
Right.
And I remember those days where, I didn't have money for food, right? And so I'm scrounging through the change drawer in my car just so I can get enough money to buy a 69-cent burrito at Taco Bell. Taco Bell came through back in the day, right? And so, but those times shaped me, and prepared me for the different things that I would, face in my career.
Right.
I never forget, month 3 after, graduation and getting into the business, I hadn't sold a house yet.
Yeah.
And, everyone, when you first get started, they always tell you prepare for 6 months to a year before you sell your first house.
Right.
And that's not good enough for me, right? Like, I want to do it tomorrow,
Right
now, right?
Let's go. Be a millionaire right now.
Right now,
Yeah.
And so, I'm in month 3 and like literally still have no money.
Right.
And I'm cold calling. I'm doing everything that it takes. We didn't have Zillow back then.
Right.
And so it was cold calling, door knocking, open houses.
Yeah.
And I never forget, I was cold calling a gentleman, and he was actually just loading his family up into the minivan. They were about to move to Texas. They were abandoning the house.
Wow.
This was during the financial crisis of 2008 and 9.
Sure.
And were tons of foreclosures and short sales. And so they had kind of given up and they were ready to leave.
Right.
And I happened to catch him as he was packing up, about to go into the vehicle to head to Texas.
Yeah.
And I gave him my spiel. I said, hey, I can help you, avoid a terrible situation. If you'll give me a few minutes of your time, I'll meet with you. And he said, hey, can you be there in 20 minutes? I said, I can be there in 19.
All right.
So I get there, we talk, end up signing a listing agreement.
Right.
I ended up negotiating the short sale in 7 days, which was unheard of back then.
Right.
And we closed in 30 days, and that kind of like gave me that boost that I needed, confirmation that I can I can make this happen.
Yeah.
You know, I went on to sell 21 homes that year.
Wow.
Rookie of the year in the office, beat out some of the veterans.
Dang, dude.
And so, you know, it was just one of those situations where, you know, consistency and determination kind of won out.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk to me about, like, was there, you mentioned, you know, you started real estate, you were living with, you know, a couple, Caroline and Jim, is it?
Yep.
So was there a point where you doubted yourself, where I can't do this, or
Yeah.
were you always just kind of like, you know what,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the best ever, right?
Right.
So was there ever a point where you
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
doubted yourself?
I think overall, in the big picture,
Yeah.
I don't doubt myself, right?
Right.
Because you know, with my faith, I know how the story ends, right?
Sure.
And so I know that certain promises have already been bestowed upon my life, the
Yeah.
favor, the abundance.
Sure.
And so, but as human, right, we have moments of doubt. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, in that moment when I am a college graduate, you know, student loan debt,
Yeah.
and I've chosen to follow my dreams, and now I'm living with, you know,
Right.
my brokers in their
Sure.
spare bedroom.
Yeah.
And you know, yeah, you have that moment of doubt, like, am I doing the right thing?
Sure.
And I feel like you have to go back to why you're doing what you're doing, you know.
Right.
And for me, I had to understand, you know, this is something that I'm very passionate about. I love doing what I'm real estate, you
Yeah.
know, and I love building a legacy.
Right.
And so for me, that trumped all the doubt that I may have had in that moment,
Sure.
because I can see the big picture.
So, you know, there's tons of entrepreneurs out there, or just people that want to start a business, and, you know, they get this dream or this idea where they're really passionate about it.
Sure,
Like,
sure.
They have this massive vision of what their life could look like and
Sure.
their business could look like. But then it's time to take that step, right? And then the doubt creeps in,
Right.
where, you know, you have this dream, and then now it's time to take that step.
Right, right.
How do you navigate, you know, how between, you know, actually getting the dream versus going out and actually doing it?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I think it's preparation, right? You hear the saying, there's preparation is power, right?
Yeah.
And being able to prepare. If you think about doubt and fear, right? A lot of that manifests itself in the absence of knowledge, or
Right.
knowing, you know, how to do certain things. And so,
Sure.
because we don't know how to necessarily take that leap, or what every step is going to look like, we start getting this incredible amount of doubt, you know, in our life, and fear. And fear has two outcomes, right?
Yeah.
You can forget everything and run, or you can face everything and rise.
Yeah.
And I think most successful entrepreneurs face everything and rise to the challenge.
Right.
And so just know that, you know, you may have a dream and a vision, and that it's not always going to go exactly the way you planned it to.
Yeah.
Which is good, right? We talked about that earlier.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
sometimes our plans aren't big enough. You know,
Right.
And so if you have the right mindset, you know, what you thought you wanted, it pales in comparison to what's in store for you.
Sure.
So I think, you know, number one, you know, preparing for the situation, you know, and you can break it down in three ways, right? I think number one, you need to define what success is for you. You know, success for you may be different than success for me. You know, we kind of talked a little bit before about, you know, success of our agents, you know, and their success probably looks different than what our success is. So, but once you can define what success is for you, now you can go to that visualization stage. You know, everything that I want out of life, you know, I can manifest it and visualize it. Like, I can get super detailed. You know, if there's a car that I want, I hear the engine. You know, if there's a vacation I want to take, I can feel the breeze. You know, I do all that, visualize all that before it actually happens. You know, and so I'm preparing my mind and my heart for that moment. You know, and then once you have that vision, now you can create a plan, right? And now you have this plan. This is what I need to do every single day. And once you have a plan, like, the work is easy. Now you know exactly what you need to do. Most people get caught up on, I don't know what to do. You know, they have this desire, but they just don't know how to get there. And then finally, you have to take massive action.
Yeah,
like
action.
massive action, man. Like it's
you.
crazy. Like even me, I underestimated the amount of action that you really need to take
Right.
to be successful.
Sure.
Your definition of success, you know.
Yeah.
And so once you were able to align that work ethic and that action, you'll be so amazed at the things that will come your way, the opportunities that will open up.
And
you know.
you hit it right on the head, because I'll always say the there's a gap between, you know, having a vision and then actually doing it, and it's in that gap is the execution.
Absolutely, 100%.
Like there's so many people that they want to do it, but there's no execution to what they
100%.
want to do, and they'll never get to even just the first step
100%.
because they just don't do it. And here's the thing, right? What I think is what causes people not to actually, you know, do it is everything has to be perfect.
Right,
They have
right.
to have it all figured out.
Right.
At that moment,
Right.
They're like, okay, I want to have this awesome business plan. I want to make sure, you know, I have the right pieces in place. But really, you don't know, especially if you have never done what you're dreaming or desiring to do. Like, you don't know what you're gonna need.
Exactly.
So that's what the journey is for.
Exactly.
Like the journey is for figuring it out. So you just gotta go and execute
It's
and
the
do
process,
it.
right?
It's a process,
Yeah.
man. So you spoke about, you know, you were rookie of the year. 21 houses. Dude.
Yeah, 21.
Dude,
I know that's nothing. I know that's nothing nowadays, right?
I sold 2 houses my first year real estate. He sold 21. Crazy. That's why we got him on the show. But all right, so you wanted. So where did it come in? Where, okay, I'm this successful agent to now let me start my own brokerage. That's
Sure.
big. Like,
Sure.
In
Sure.
real estate, in the real estate world, you know, being an agent and a broker, that's massive.
Sure.
So
sure.
where did that come?
I mean, to be honest with you, it came before I even got my license.
Okay.
You know, it was part of the vision, right?
Yeah.
Again, when I started this journey, I visualized everything that I wanted, you know,
Yeah.
out of it.
Right.
And so I was able to set a course and pursue it.
Sure.
And so, you know, it was in a situation where there was a right time. It was almost, again, like we talked about earlier, you're kind of like forced into these decisions. And for me, it was one of those things where I just had to do it at that moment.
Right.
I wasn't ready. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like I would have stayed, you know, probably at my brokerage a little bit longer, but,
Right.
you know, just the timing had said, hey, it was time to do this.
Yeah.
And, again, you know, it was amazing, not fun at times, but it was an amazing journey.
Right.
And, you know, and I was able to learn so much about not just the business, but myself and how I operate.
Sure.
You know, and I spent some time, you know, as a sole proprietor before I took on agents, kind of learning myself and how I handle business and,
Yeah.
you know, setting that standard for myself before I brought on any agents.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, that it started, you know, before I got my license. I just had that vision already set in stone.
That makes sense. So you start your brokerage, or fast forward, you start your brokerage, you know, and a lot of people out there, especially if you're real estate agents, you think that, yep, I'm going to be this agent, I'm going to start this brokerage, and it's going to be successful day one. And that's obviously not the case.
Not the case at all.
Right.
Not the case at all.
So, and here's the thing. Entrepreneurship is about failing.
Absolutely.
Right? You will fail. Like, you have to get over that. You were going to fail, but we spoke about it earlier. You know, the failure, we look at it as disappointment, but it's really preparation.
100%.
Like, you're being prepared. Like, God, I feel like God sees, you know, hey, you're going to be this, and I had this plan for you to be this even bigger than what you even thought.
Yeah.
But, you know, I need you to develop.
100%.
And the failure
100%.
is helping you develop.
Absolutely.
So for you going from being a real estate agent to a broker, talk to me about some of those moments where you failed.
Yeah. You know, prime example, you know, I started my brokerage.
Yeah.
And again, it was probably a little premature.
Sure.
You know, I was experiencing a little dip in the business at that time, but again, I was being pushed in that direction.
Right.
And so I just remember, you know, signing my first office space lease, and you know, the doors are open, you know,
Yeah.
and
Here we go.
yeah, here we go. Like
Here
it's
we
about
go.
to take off. Everything's
Yeah.
going to be great.
Right.
And you know, it didn't work out that way.
Sure.
You know, I had like several deals kind of fall apart. Like it seemed like everything was just kind of going wrong.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in my office. This was probably December. And
Yeah.
so I didn't have enough money to turn on all the utilities, right?
Right.
So I had electricity, I had a phone, the basics.
Sure.
I just didn't have heat. And so I'm sitting in my office making cold calls, and I can see my breath. And so I was like, man, this can't be my life right now.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so, but again, through that determination, I
Yeah.
was able to land a regional builder who came to the market. I was able to open them,
Sure.
have some good success with that, and then that kind of led me to the Next Home franchise,
Yeah.
and so now I have the Next Home franchise with an awesome group of professionals who go out every day and impact and serve, and so yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, but that was the moment I thought like I was
That was it.
failing,
You failed
like
it,
what am I doing? I need to go back to my old brokerage,
Right.
and just sit in my comfort zone.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So what made you not quit though? That's the thing. Like, you, as an entrepreneur, you have this dream, you take the step.
Sure.
Right. Now you're on this journey, and the journey is not what you expected, because
Sure.
you expected to just to be great
Right.
day one.
Right.
And you're in your office and you're making cold calls, and you see this. you can't pay the heat bill,
Right.
and you see your breath in the air,
Right.
and you're like, man, what am I doing? I failed. So a lot of people would say, all right, this sucks. I'm quitting.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I'm out.
absolutely.
This is maybe God didn't give me this vision. This is
Absolutely.
just me. What made you overcome that, or what kind of your train of thought
Sure.
did you have to overcome, like, I'm not going to quit. This is what I'm going to do.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, for me, it was I saw the vision already, right?
Sure.
And so I knew that, okay, in this moment, like I said, I'm having these doubts.
Yeah.
In this moment, this is crazy.
Right.
But I take a step back and I see the entire vision, and this
Sure.
is where I'm trying to end up.
Yeah.
And so this is just, part of the process. This is part of the molding process,
Sure.
It was funny. I was having a conversation with a client of mine, and, they said, hey, Kelvin, I wish we had ran into you 10 years ago. I mean, you're such good at what you do. I wish I had known you back then. We could have did some great things. And I was like, hey, listen, timing is everything. I probably wasn't that good back then.
Right.
So if I had that opportunity to work with you,
Yeah.
who knows? You probably would have been, no, I don't want to work with this guy.
Right.
So I had to go through a process to be molded, to get to a point, and so I knew in that moment, this is just part of that process. It's going to not be fun.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I can look back and be proud that, I didn't give up in that moment.
Sure.
And so I really had to check myself those days,
Sure.
on a daily basis sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for people to understand that things are going to go wrong.
Yeah.
And you have to learn to love to lose sometimes.
Right.
Because that's just an inevitable part of the journey.
Right. I think the mentality going in, you knew, first of all, you saw the vision. Like, your eyes never left the vision. No matter what happened, you were seeing your breath, but you're like, okay, this wasn't a part of the vision, but I'm going to keep going because there's a bigger
100%.
vision I have in my brain. But also, you went into it expecting that. And I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, when they start their businesses, of course you have this dream, and dreams are big. Everyone dreams big, right?
Right.
Especially if you're an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
You see where you are, and then you see you being like a millionaire,
Absolutely.
sitting on a yacht. But when that doesn't happen year one, you get discouraged. But I really feel like, if you go into your journey with, hey, things are going to happen. Like, you're expecting, to fail.
100%.
But when you fail, you're like, okay, I'm just developing myself.
Absolutely.
And that mentality of, just the right expectations for yourself.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
This is not going to come overnight.
Right.
I'm not going to get from point A to point Z in a matter of 6 months. This is going to take time. And I run into a ton of agents, man, real estate agents, and they get into the real estate industry. They see the highlights, social media, people selling homes, and
Right.
obviously we know social media is a liar.
Right.
But they see all these people selling homes. They're like, yeah, I could get that seems easy. I can do that. I can go in real estate and make $200,000-$300,000 a year my first year, whatever.
Right.
And then that doesn't happen when they figure out, and they come into the business and they see that, wait, it's been 6 to 8 months, and I don't even have one deal, and I quit.
They're discouraged. Yeah,
They're discouraged.
Absolutely.
Because they came into it with the wrong mentality.
Absolutely.
So
100%.
You hit it right on the head. Just that, anytime you're starting a business, just that mentality of how you're coming into it. Like, you're expecting this to be a journey and not something that is overnight success.
100%. And listen, as entrepreneurs, we want it fast, right?
Right.
We don't want to wait.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's like one of the biggest battles that we have is,
Sure.
is building patience.
Patience.
You know, and that's absolutely what you have to have.
Right.
In anything that you do that you're trying to get good at.
Sure.
You know, and anything worth having is going to take hard work.
Right.
And practice and failing and people telling you no, hanging up on you, those different situations. Sure. All that is part of the journey and the process to, for you to be who you want to be, Right. I always say what got you here won't get you there. You know what I'm saying? And so you just have to kind of remember those things when you're facing that adversity. It means you're doing something,
right. Sure.
It means you're doing something.
Sure.
So
and I'm sure, you had it going in, but the importance of short-term and long-term goals.
Sure.
I feel like a lot of people they start their business, and they only have in front of them the long-term goal.
Sure.
They're only looking at, what you want to become. And then when that doesn't happen, like I said before, they quit.
Sure.
So what's the importance of having just short-term goals, short wins?
Absolutely.
To help you get over those humps of
100%. Super important.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the wins are really, really important in terms of your confidence.
Yeah.
In terms of your ability to stay the course,
Sure.
right? I mean, if you're just focused all on your long-term goals, I want to be a billionaire.
Yeah.
Every day I wake up, I'm not a billionaire. I'm technically, failing, right?
Yeah, right.
But if my goal is I want to be a billionaire, I need to first own the first property, and then you go buy that first property, I've accomplished a goal, of mine, or I want to, build a massive real estate team.
Right.
How about first, understanding how to truly lead and serve, So those short-term goals are super important in the big picture of your journey.
Sure. And you mentioned it earlier. It kind of is ringing in my head, bro, when you said, everyone's success looks different.
Yeah.
I feel like as a society, we look at other people's successes and we're like, yeah, I want to do that.
Right.
And you're trying to attain something that maybe wasn't for you.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
just because your success doesn't look like theirs doesn't mean that like you're unsuccessful.
100%. And that's why it's so important to define success for yourself early on in the process.
Right.
Because especially nowadays with social media, it's so easy to compare yourself to someone else.
Right.
But again, if your journey is different than theirs, there's no reason to compare yourself, you know. But we get caught in that trap, and we're in an instant gratification, time period of our lives, and so like when things aren't happening the way we want them to happen, we get frustrated and give up. So absolutely.
Yeah, and I always tell my team, like, especially like the newer agents.
Sure.
You're comparing your chapter 1 to somebody's chapter 10.
Absolutely. I mean, that's beautiful. I mean, that's it right there.
Yeah.
I mean, that is it. Like, and for me too, it was especially hard for me being a younger broker.
Right.
In the early days, I had braces. I looked like I was 12, but I had been in the business for a little while still, and so I would run into newer agents, and they were expecting to kind of be on that same level of knowledge or clientele base. Yeah. And that wasn't the case, and they would get frustrated, because we look the same.
Sure.
But my journey just started a little bit before yours.
Right.
If you have some patience and the ability to stay the course and put in the work, I mean, your chapter 10 is going to look great too.
Right.
But first you need to finish chapter 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yes.
6, 7, 8, and 9. Right.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then celebrating those wins. You know what I mean? Like, just taking the leap of faith.
Absolutely.
Of, hey, I stepped out and actually started. I actually took whatever business you're trying to do.
Right.
I'm just going to do it. That's a win.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
People neglect that. Like, they want to just, again, look at I want to be a billionaire. I want to have this massive business, but they don't celebrate the fact that they actually started it.
Oh yeah, and we're all guilty of it, right?
Right.
And so I made it a point, in the last couple of years to, I call it smell the roses, and it's part of my gratitude journey too.
Yeah.
When things aren't going my way or things are a little bit tough, I always step back and I have this attitude of gratitude of what I have.
Right.
Because at one point, I was actually praying to be in this very position, and because I'm looking at that next step, I've forgotten about that.
Right.
And then so I like to take a step back and be like, okay, all this worked out,
Right.
and when you're able to do that, you're just able to navigate life better, not just business, but life, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. So if you had to give advice to our viewers,
Sure.
we have a lot of viewers that, they have this burning desire to actually, take that leap of faith, start their business, do great things. What would be the one thing that you would tell them?
Number one, definitely just spend a lot of time defining your vision, defining success.
Yeah.
Spending a lot of that time early on in the process.
Yeah.
That will help you navigate so much easier on this journey.
Right.
And don't be afraid to dream. Dream big.
Yeah.
Society teaches us to live in this box.
Sure.
But for me, I never wanted to be in a box. I always wanted options. I always wanted to live a life by design and not by default. And so for me, dreaming big helps me do that.
Yeah.
Being able to manifest, things what you want to happen in life. You can do those things. We have that power. We were given that power to do those things.
Sure.
And so, my biggest advice is just spend the time, early on in the process, defining success, defining your vision, and then taking that massive action to just pursue it with everything that you have, with commitment and conviction.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're gonna need. Because it's an amazing journey, but it can be trying sometimes.
Right.
But I guarantee you, if you do those things, you'll be successful.
That's awesome, bro. That is like just like you said, taking the time to define what success looks like for you, and then just dream big.
100%.
And then protect that dream.
Protect.
You don't lose it. Just because you go on the journey, you take that leap of faith, and it doesn't work out exactly the way you thought it was going to be.
Absolutely.
That doesn't mean that desire that you had or that you were experiencing, that doesn't mean that was invalid.
100%. And I'll say this too. When you made the point about protecting your dream, you have to. So I categorize people in my life, right? I have the process people and I have the results people, right?
Yeah.
And so like my process people, I can share my big dreams with them.
Sure.
I can share the crazy far out things that they want, that I want.
Right.
And my results people, I can't do that.
Sure.
And early on, I didn't categorize people like that. And so I would just share my dreams with everybody, everybody. And all it takes is that one person, like, you're crazy. What are you talking about? That makes no sense.
Yes.
And you're like deflated instantly, right?
Yes.
And so I finally had to learn that there's, the process people and the results people. And you don't love the results people any less because they don't believe in what you're doing. They just can't see it, And so, protecting your dream and, being able to categorize the people in your life into what they are. They're either process or results.
I love that. And, protecting that dream or that vision that you have and not telling everybody. I'm a firm believer of that because people can sow doubt.
100%.
Because they look at their perspective is from their perspective.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Where
exactly.
You tell them something, that you're dreaming and wanting to do, it's like, oh, you can't do that.
Right.
Because they say that because they're thinking that I can't do that. If I can't do that, you can't do that.
They're projecting their fears onto you.
Exactly.
And so I mean that is it right there. And I'll just kind of say this too is this is kind of weird, but whenever I'm like driving by a cemetery, I'm always thinking about I wonder who could have been the next Elon Musk, or I wonder who could have been the next Jordan, or President Obama.
Right.
But, they didn't take that leap. They didn't take that leap of faith. They didn't follow their dreams. They didn't have the courage or even the opportunities, to do that. And so for me, that fires me up,
Sure.
Because I'm still here, I'm still breathing, I still have that opportunity
Yeah.
to go out and just tackle my dreams with everything that I have. And that gets me up every day, so.
Absolutely. And I'm a firm believer. We talked about it earlier before we started filming. You know, the desires that we have are God-given.
100%.
Like God places these desires. We think it's us, but it's not us.
Right.
It's like God's like, hey, I need this to happen. Like God, of course, God is the, you know, sole or ultimate planner.
Absolutely.
So he's like, okay, who on the earth can I get to carry out this vision?
Right.
Kel Mitchell.
Right.
Let me install that vision or desire in Kel's heart.
100%.
And if you don't act on it, again, you're like, man, that you could have been Elon Musk.
Right.
Like God had this great plan to
Right.
carry out through you.
Right.
And you decided not to take that leap of faith
Right.
because you were fearful or you were scared. And God's like, oh, like, dude, you have no idea what I had in store for you.
100%. 100%. And it's when you think of it like that, it's like, you know, why am I holding back?
Why
you know, why am I holding back?
Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah,
just do it.
it's
Just
like-
take that massive action. Just do it.
And don't quit.
Don't quit.
Do it.
And
don't
surround yourself with great people like yourself,
Right.
and who understand that too. Like that's another key point there.
Absolutely.
Is the people that you're around on a daily basis.
Yes, absolutely, man. Oh my God, this was crazy, bro. I am like,
Man, I
super
enjoyed it.
Thankful, bro. Seriously, like from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule just
Absolutely.
to sit down and just give the people, you know, just some knowledge of and some encouragement and some motivation just to go out and just take that leap of faith and pursue what those desires are as an entrepreneur. So we will be back for the next episode. I thank you so much for tuning in to the very first episode of the Entrepreneur Hot Seat with my brother, Kel Mitchell. See you next time.